Persona 5. You know, I knew this game would come up, and given the premise of this channel, I imagine many of you did as well. I jumped on the P5 bandwagon once Joker was announced for Super Smash Bros. Nintendo's king-making strategy worked its magic on me once again, with help from Buns' 4 Beginners video on the game. Shoutouts to Super Butterbuns for helping this game take a piece of my soul. Anyways, there were so many topics that came to mind while playing this game. The storylines, the characters, the dynamic between the real world and combat. Oh, it was so good, you guys. This was a fantastic experience. I knew then it was prime video material. I could talk about the Arcana and their tarot symbolism, the Phantom Thieves' response to an unjust society, finding the line between the righteous changes of hearts and brainwashing, Akechi's tragic backstory, or so many more topics this game could have given me. This game delivered me a veritable buffet of video topics, but today I am talking about none of those. That's right, of all these topics, none of them quite stirred me to actually write the script, and have been put on the back burner for the absolutely perplexing moral dilemma given to me by the newest release, Persona 5: The Royal. I want to give a quick spoiler warning for both the original Persona 5 and Persona 5 Royal. We will be discussing in-game events for both, and nothing is being left off the table. If you haven't played it yet, and you don't want the 120-hour-long campaign spoiled for you, feel free to stop this video and go play it. Then come back and share your thoughts in the comments. Otherwise, the spoiler train is leaving the station. All aboard! Persona 5 Royal's new content revolves around a few key characters. Of course, we have Joker, our main character and leader of the Phantom Thieves, as well as his rival Akechi, whose role has been greatly expanded upon when compared to the original game. For some background, Joker has been sent to live in Tokyo due to a false allegation of assault, which he was given while he was trying to stop a politician from assaulting a young woman. This politician is later revealed to be a prime minister candidate named Shido. Shido falls over while trying to swing at Joker, and blames him for his injuries, leading to Joker's arrest and subsequent probation in Tokyo. At the end of Persona 5, Shido's heart is changed by the Phantom Thieves, a group led by Joker and his friends who work to make society better by changing the hearts of corrupt individuals. Unfortunately for him, Joker has to turn himself in as their leader so that he may testify against Shido in a court of law, as the actions of the Phantom Thieves are looked down upon by the powers that be. Being a necessary step, Joker turns himself in so that he may testify against Shido, ensuring that justice will be served. That was the following action of the original game, and there really wasn't much more to it. He turns himself in and he does go to juvenile hall. His friends do work to get him out and are eventually successful, but there is no avoiding sending him there. However, in the remake, Akechi intervenes on Joker's behalf. Now, for some background on Akechi, he was actually the one working for Shido. He committed a lot of the atrocities that were being pinned on the Phantom Thieves, but that Shido was ultimately responsible for. Akechi was his tool. He was the one actually doing the dirty work for Shido. And as such, his testimony would be even more scathing than Joker's. The reason this didn't happen in the original game was mainly the fact that we were led to believe Akechi died, which the story played out the same way in the remake. He was just here this time, with no explanation at the time. But this did lead to an ultimately satisfying reveal that made us all happy to see that Joker was not in fact going to juvenile hall. So those are the roles of our two known characters in this coming moral dilemma, put forward to us by the new literary antagonist, Dr. Maruki, a counselor who has suffered greatly throughout his life, as the love of his life lost all memory of him after a terrible tragedy of losing her parents. This is due to the doctor's wish for her suffering to end. which was granted seemingly by a persona. They did this by altering her cognition completely, making it so she believed she lived another life, and as such, she even had no idea who the doctor was. This was the development point for the good doctor. He saw her suffering and adopted the belief that he wanted to end suffering such as this for not just her, but for the entire world. And with the abilities given to him in this world of fiction by his persona, that very idea ended up becoming possible on an individual level at first. His first case where he did this was with the new character Sumire. The tragedy he was trying to save her from occurred 1 year prior to the game's events. At that time, Sumire was dealing with an inferiority complex of her more athletic sister Kasumi. They were both gymnasts, but Kasumi was performing better than Sumire was at the time, and she felt she could never keep up, and as such, felt inferior. One day, when these feelings were particularly present in her mind, she runs into the road, narrowly avoiding being hit by a car thanks to her sister's efforts. However, this does end up costing Kasumi her life, as she is hit by the car in her stead. Racked with grief, Sumire is sent to counseling with Dr. Maruki. Seeing the state she was in, he works to clarify what would make her happy. Through their discussion, he learns that Sumire wants to live Kasumi's life, so that she can achieve the dreams Kasumi never got to. Using his persona, later revealed to be Azathoth of Lovecraftian origin, he uses his persona to make it so. And thus, the cognition of her and everyone around her is changed, so that even the main protagonist sees her as Kasumi and interacts with her as such. And this isn't even revealed to the player until the 11th hour of this story. I was stunned when I learned this realization. I figured there was more to her story, but I didn't know it went this deep. This is her arc of self-realization throughout the game. Finally, after a ton of research by Dr. Maruki and the events of Persona 5, Mementos, a physical embodiment of the collective unconscious, is taken over by Dr. Maruki in order to change reality for everyone in the world to be happy, in the same way that he made Sumire happy. With the background information out of the way, it is now time to discuss the philosophy behind the character's actions. I was stunned to see a well-known philosophical scenario brought up and used as this game's premise, basically. The experience machine. This is a thought experiment questioning the philosophy of hedonism, the belief that the only things in life that are good for us provide pleasure, and the only things in life that are bad for us provide pain. And as such, for us to be the best humans possible, the best thing to do would be to avoid pain and seek pleasure to the detriment of any other consideration. Given this premise, the philosopher Robert Nozick posed the thought experiment, which goes like this. Imagine for a moment that you lived in a world where virtual reality technology advanced so much as to incorporate all the senses and directly simulate your brain in such specific ways as to be completely indistinguishable from reality. If you wanted to, you could enter a reality made to completely suit your desires for the rest of your life, and the only downside would be that you could never leave. Is this a good outcome? Is this the ideal scenario for humanity? These are questions that were posed by Nozick, and I would love to hear your thoughts on the matter, so please leave them in the comments. But this belief was taken to heart and held deeply by Dr. Maruki, that this was in fact the best thing not just for him, but for all of humanity. He has such conviction in this belief that as soon as he gains the ability to do so, he puts it into practice and places the whole world inside his own experience machine by changing the cognition of everyone. He brings back people's lost loved ones, alters their memories to make it seem that they were never gone, and he plans a future that goes exactly how everyone wants it to. It is worth noting that Dr. Maruki's motivation most certainly comes from the side of preventing pain than creating pleasure. The characters don't get everything they ever want. Futaba is denied a video game, for example, but the tragedies they went through in the game proper, such as losing loved ones, have been undone and their memories of them altered. As the player, we get a good look at the reality created through this cognition, and it's honestly a great one. It's so easy for media like this to secretly just make someone evil with a very clearly bad twists. Something I was honestly expecting given the lineup of Saturday morning cartoon villains this game had given us so far. However, that doesn't seem to be the case. Should you accept his reality, he gives you a wonderful ending for the game. Joker stays in Tokyo with the rest of the Phantom Thieves, and Akechi gets in line and joins the crew as well. Sumire continues to hang out with the group as Kasumi, with nothing any worse than a reminder of the choice you made. From where I'm sitting, having played both the original and the remake, this was very clearly a message sent by the developer Atlas to the fans. If you want this game to end this way, you can have it, but that's not reality. This is the moral dilemma posed to the player. Live a happy life in this made-up simulation, or reject it and work to take this happy life away from everyone else. For hedonists, Dr. Maruki's plan would be the best path forward for humanity, and the Phantom Thieves should accept life within it. But for myself, this was absolutely the hardest choice I ever had to make in this game. After stopping the game, going outside to collect my thoughts, and coming back the next day for a work of fiction, I decided that for me, the just thing to do was to stop Dr. Maruki, for the simple reason that he gave no one the choice. If you subscribe to any school of thought that offers any free will short of hard determinism, then Dr. Maruki has committed a serious vice by shaping the world like this, without regard to the will of the people put within. The only reason this becomes known to begin with is because of Joker and Akechi's memory wiping being seemingly ineffective due to their powers. I myself subscribe to the philosophy of rural utilitarianism. I believe we should always do the greatest good for the greatest number, but sometimes what seems like the greatest good in the short term may actually cause harm in the long run. From where I'm standing, while the Doctor's good intentions cannot be denied, they do not absolve him of what's happened. Thanks to his actions, the autonomy of the whole world has been violated. Joker, Akechi, and the Phantom Thieves are the only ones in a position to undo this injustice and restore autonomy to the masses. And as such, it becomes not just their desire, but their responsibility. As a practical matter, I can understand why Dr. Maruki did things this way. In a far from scientific poll of other nerdy individuals such as myself, nearly everyone rejected the idea of going into the machine. But when asked if they would leave this same happy environment if already in it for a more painful real one, the reaction of my friends became much more mixed, and it greatly depended on each person's individual circumstances. Meaning they were more open to the idea, even in the hypothetical, with this one change of circumstance. So very likely, the good doctor did this with the idea that asking people would create more suffering in the world for those who said no, and decided he would make this decision for them, and decrease the world's suffering. Even though the good doctor would disagree, and even though some would most certainly benefit from his reality, Joker, being the one in a position to do something about it, needed to set this right, as Dr. Maruki did not have the right to override the autonomy of the world, in my opinion. In short, this game pitted my utilitarian perspective against the Doctor's hedonistic one. After grappling with this, I truly felt like I was doing this not because I wanted to, but because I was the only one who could, which I really felt like that's what the developers were going for. Given this fact, The game's true ending does not pull any punches. If you return the world to its original state, Joker still goes to Juvenile Hall, just as he did in the original. He leaves Tokyo, and the Phantom Thieves split up as they did before. If you took out Maruki for the sake of an even happier ending, you will be disappointed. However, there is one more factor to consider. One difference in the remake is that we do get more insight into the future of the other Phantom Thieves. Most of them will be moving away. The ones that don't are starting the next chapters in their respective journeys. They show us this to show us their growth and desire to change themselves. Even Futaba, who was a shut-in before the Phantom Thieves got involved in her life, will be starting high school next year, a major step for her, as the game has told us. Through this, it is shown that the group has grown and matured in ways they never would have in Dr. Maruki's reality. And I believe this is the message that Atlus wants us to take away from this game. Reality may not be perfect, it may not even be good, but as bad as it may be, you can create a better reality for yourself through growth and effort over time, being made considerably more possible with support from others. But the first step is not running away from the painful reality. As deep as this game is, it is simply a story told by humans, with all their biases and misunderstandings. As well as myself, I am simply another one of those humans, with my own biases and misunderstandings. With that premise, if you have your own thoughts about the game, the video, or anything else, please leave it in the comments below. I'd be happy to hear it. I hope you all have enjoyed this video, and I hope it's helped us all think a little bit more about how we can all be better people. This has been the Nerd Philosopher, signing out. Hello, and welcome to the end of the video. This was absolutely a fun one. I love Persona 5, and I love the remake, but it is a very, very long game, so if you want to go play it, have fun, but be ready for the long haul. Anyways, next week we will be looking at an ethical discussion of the Prime Directive from Star Trek, and I would love to know your thoughts on that topic, on this one, or if you have any suggestions, any deep questions that the media you've experienced has raised for you, please let me know. Also, be sure to look forward to a collaboration I've done with Selva, where we will be singing I Believe, a song from Persona 5 Royal together. They have some really great covers of some really awesome songs, and if that's what you're into, you should absolutely give them a watch. As well as subscribe to my Patreon. Patreon.com/nerdphilosopher. Both are linked in the description. If you liked this video, please hit that like button, and if you want to see more of this content, please click that subscribe button. Otherwise, thank you all, and have a great day.